The events take place in the depths of hell, also known as the Shadow Maze. A dark-haired man in a raincoat moves through the ruins. This is the last maze that the Shadow World presented to humanity. Behind the guy's back is a huge amount of dust and smoke. The whole sky is red and scarlet. He is met by a huge dragon with stone skin and 3 red eyes. This is a meteor-ranked dragon of destruction, Boromir Napolitan. The huge monster calls a few brave warriors a bunch of lowly humans who shouldn't even think about fighting him. It turns out that the hero has been in this place for more than 10 years. During this time, he lost a huge number of his comrades and loved ones. The guy confidently says that this is the end for Napoleon, and together they will destroy him and put an end to this hell. The huge dragon flaps its wings in anger. Several dozen huge boulders fly towards the hero, who uses his power to defend himself. 3 magic circles appear in front of him. The hero uses his power to complete the final analysis of the magic structure. He informs his companions that he has sealed the dragon's magic. After that, a female warrior with a shield and sword praises him, and everyone else breaks off in the direction of the monster, realizing that they have a chance to finish him off. They begin to climb up his huge arms to his head to complete the long trek. The huge dragon cannot believe what has happened, considering it impossible. Seeing the carcass of Boromir turn to stone, Desir can't believe his eyes, because they will finally be able to leave this hell. The surviving warriors gather in a circle to catch their breath. The blonde praises everyone, saying that they did a great job to save the world. His name is Raphael, and he is a Knight of Light. He also has the nickname Holy Sword. A man with a pointed red beard and a muscular build notices that something is going wrong. He doesn't like that the clear message still hasn't appeared, because the task in the Shadow World was to kill a dragon. This man's name is Davaslan. He is the king of Esteban. Raphael agrees with his companion's reservation, confirming that they should all have returned to their own world the moment they completed the task. He also understands that this place is different from the usual Shadow Worlds, so he suggests that everyone wait a little longer. A third member of the group intervenes. He has a hood over his head and a pair of glasses, one lens of which is cracked. He has long hair that reaches to his shoulders. He recalls that initially there were 150 million of them, but only 6 survive. He notices the absurdity of the fact that the survival rate is only 400,000. This is the master of the Tower of Magic, the great sage Jode Exarian. A girl with an attractive appearance and blonde hair responds to his statements, arguing that it is not worth doing useless calculations, because they will not return the dead to them. Jode notes that everyone here needs time to reflect on what happened, especially when 99% of the people died. Desir also tries to settle the conflict between the comrades, reminding them that everything is already over and they have already saved the world. The blonde suddenly turns her gaze to the Knight of Light, who asks a silent question with his gaze. The girl notices that if Raphael was not with them, they would have had a hard time. The guy shrugs it off, saying that it was natural for him to protect all his comrades as a paladin. He notes that Desir played a bigger role than him. Everyone present recognizes the hero's talent, but they wonder why he can only do the 3rd round with such potential. Desir admits that he is a commoner, and therefore he did not receive a proper education. He also notes that if he had been trained better, he would have been able to save many more people. Jode is saddened by this news. He points out that if a person with such a talent appeared in the Tower of Magic, they would give him their full support. Everyone's mood starts to drop, so Raphael decides that he needs to move the topic away from the tedious past. The paladin is confident that many people will be happy for their return, so he becomes interested in what his comrades are going to do after all that has happened. Dave answers his friend's question first. He plans to visit the homes of his fallen comrades to return their belongings to their families. King Esteban also notes that he will never forget their noble deaths. The girl also says that she will return to the Union of the Western Kingdoms to comfort the families of the victims. The blonde is sure that they would be happy if they built a memorial shrine or temple for the sake of all those who gave their lives in this place. Jode also admits that he wants to avoid a similar catastrophe in the future, so he is going to go in search of a way to prevent the reappearance of the Shadow Maze. Because if a shadow world of this scale appears again, then the whole world will definitely be doomed to destruction. Raphael treats Aegis, who is sitting far away from everyone. This is a girl in battle armor, using a shield and sword in battle. The paladin wants to know about her future plans. The girl remains silent, not wanting to say anything. Quickly realizing that nothing can be extracted from the girl, Raphael switches to Desir, noting that he will be welcome everywhere. Jode invites the boy to go with him, suggesting that he return to the Khavrion Academy. Meanwhile, Boromir opens his eye, trying to get up. The hero does not have time to tell about his plans due to the awakening of the dragon. Everyone jumps up in surprise. Jode didn't think there was anything left. The talkative blonde reminds everyone that they have already defeated the dragon, so she has doubts about the fact that they did not complete the task of the Shadow World. Dave also suggests that they haven't completely finished off the dragon. Joe denies this fact because he himself was convinced that the monster is dead. Only the warrior remains calm. Then a hunch occurs to the master of the Tower of Magic. He remembers what he once read in a book about the dragon's heart a long time ago. It said that the dragon's heart is a kind of engine, similar to a mana circle. It attracts a huge amount of mana and distributes it throughout the body. Thus, when a dragon dies, the accumulated mana gets out of control. The magician compares this to an overheated engine. The girl hurries Joe to let everyone know by now what awaits them. Desir finishes for his friend, saying that the overheated engine will explode. The girl yells in surprise about why Joe didn't know about this before killing the monster. The master of the Tower of Magic also notices that today, for the first time in the history of mankind, a dragon was killed. He realizes that the accumulated mana will explode. At first, he estimates the force of the explosion as the power of the seventh circle, but then corrects himself, realizing that the force is much greater. Joe informs his comrades that it's not even magic, so analysis is useless here. He encourages his comrades to prepare for the worst. The light envelops everyone present. Raphael tries to protect everyone, but he realizes that he can't handle it. The paladin can't believe that the world is really going to end. The blonde begins to pray to the goddess, and the hero closes his eyes, preparing to accept his end. He looks down at his hands, where the destructive force is spreading, but after a moment, his rough skin becomes young and soft. He opens his eyes, surprised to find that he's wearing a shirt and jeans. Chapter 1-2. The hero tries to comprehend what is happening. He talks to himself as people pass by. They were looking at him like he was crazy. He's already accepted his death, and here it is. He looks down at his hands, trying to accept the fact that he's still alive. Loud footsteps draw his attention. The girl in high heels starts talking. She is happy to see everyone present. She introduces herself. The girl's name is Bridget, and she is a professor at the Khavrion Academy. Bridget knows that many people have come here hoping to enroll in their academy. She is grateful to all of them for coming all the way to this place. While the hero, gaping, watches the professor's speech, a couple of guys point out that the girl doesn't look like a professor at all. Bridget hears everything they say about her. She shouts and shuts everyone up, telling them not to open their mouths when she speaks. The professor exhales heavily from the awkwardness of the situation, and then informs that not all of those present will be accepted into their academy. The girl says that according to tradition, guests will have to pass the entrance exam, according to the results of which only 600 of the best students will be admitted to the academy. People are very tense. Some of the girls even ask if anyone has any information about this exam. The guy in the front row says he has no idea. Bridget says that the task of those present in the entrance exam is to clear the shadow world. The hero bends down, covering his face. He still didn't understand what was going on. At the same time, the professor says that those who want to enter should not be afraid, because the shadow world will not be real. It will be created specifically for the exam. Bridget also adds that all other details of the entrance exam will be available to those attending from mentors who will help them. This is the 3613th year, 172nd entrance exam, which will start in 2 hours. The professor says goodbye to everyone, leaving the stage. People start whispering about the entrance exam. The hero leans on a pillar, remembering the entrance ceremony. He finally realizes that the entrance ceremony for Khavrion Academy has just taken place. Khavrion is the best magic academy on the continent. The hero recalls that he graduated from it more than 10 years ago. Desir's mind begins to collate the facts that are now happening. He heard that it was now the year 3613. The shadow world appeared in the year 3616. It was from that moment that the guy was locked in the shadow maze for 10 years. And the world itself met its end in 3626. From all this, we can conclude that the hero went back in time 30 years ago. The boy clutches at his heart, tears falling from his eyes. For him, all this means is that the last 10 years have been in vain. He'd been through hell. Desir put in an exorbitant amount of effort and sacrificed a lot to save the world. And in the end, he ended up at the very beginning of his journey, under the noise of the cheering crowd. The hero cries, falling to his knees. He doesn't want to accept the fact that he has to go through all this again. The brunette walks out onto the porch and sits down on the step, trying to make sense of everything. A couple of people pass by. They assume that he's just a commoner, which is why he looks so pathetic. The hero also realizes that everything that happens around him is not a dream, because he still remembers everything that he went through and everyone with whom he went this way. Then a voice up ahead shakes him out of his thoughts, telling him that it's looking everywhere for him. Desir pays attention to the person who is addressing him. The girl says that the interlocutor was not at the place of their meeting, so she kept wondering where he could go. She clarifies whether the guy is Desir Armand. The brunette apologizes, and the interlocutor says that it doesn't matter anymore. The girl introduces herself, offering to address her simply by her first name. Her name is Raydoria von Dorich. She is a second-year student at the academy. She was assigned to the hero's mentors. Desir recalls everything he knows about his mentor. Raydoria von Dorich is a brilliant fire mage who will reach the 6th circle in the future. She is also an exemplary student who has always been first in her class during her time at the academy. Noticing the taciturnity of the interlocutor, the girl wonders what he is so thinking about. The hero responds, just nervous. Raydoria says with a smile that this is just an entrance exam, so the guy should not worry. She also notes that the created world is not comparable to the present. Desir makes a surprised face, asking her again if this is true. The girl also convinces him that this entrance exam will only check will he be able to participate in clearing the shadow worlds. Then Raydoria draws attention to the fact that the guy is a commoner. The hero also notices that the voice and facial expression of the mentor has changed. He is surprised by this, because the fact that he is a commoner should not be a problem for admission. The representative of the fair sex explains that the fact that he is a commoner automatically sends him to the beta class, even if he performs well, and in the beta class he does not receive a proper education. Unfortunately, there is discrimination within the academy. Aristocrats are in alpha class, while commoners are in beta. Talent doesn't matter. If you're a commoner, you'll be discriminated against. Raydoria says that these are already future problems. The main thing right now is for Desir to go to the academy. The girl suddenly remembers the other person's reaction to shadow worlds, so she immediately asks if they even know what they are. The hero also says that he knows about the shadow worlds. This surprises the mentor. She immediately has doubts. She notes that you need to know everything about the shadow worlds to fight them. Even if the world is just created in the entrance exam, it is still dangerous. The girl decides to make sure that her ward knows about the shadow worlds, so she asks him a couple of questions. The first question is, what is the shadow world? The hero says that the shadow world is a kind of parallel universe, as well as the greatest catastrophe that humanity has ever faced. They appear once a year. There are an infinite number of them, and each has its own laws. Some shadow worlds are quite simple, while others are extremely dangerous. All of them consist of incidents and events of the past. The Magic Society divided them into 10 different levels based on history. The lower the level, the more difficult the world is. The most significant danger of shadow worlds is that they corrode their world. The lands that were taken over by the shadow worlds are shrouded in a black fog, and no one knows what is going on inside. One thing is for sure, no living thing can survive there. That is why it is important for them to clear the shadow worlds. Her mentor's eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. She just couldn't believe that someone entering the academy would have such knowledge. Chapter 1-3. Raydoria decides to supplement the words of the interlocutor. He reports that the shadow worlds are currently being watched by two parties, the Union of the Western Kingdoms and the Khavrion Academy. They are two opposing factions that compete to collect magic stones while clearing shadow worlds. Obviously, as members of the Khavrion Academy, they are involved in this. In her mind's eye, the girl notices that there is actually still a faction of outsiders, but she believes that it is too early for the interlocutor to know about them. Raydoria asks the other person if they know what it means to clear the shadow world. Desir gives a positive answer, starting to explain. It repeats itself, saying that the shadow worlds are a kind of parallel universes in which the events of the past are repeated. They're popping up all over the world, and there's only one way to stop them. Enter the shadow world and clear it. For example, if the shadow world is based on a war from the past, in which one side lost to the other, then it is necessary to achieve victory in this war. Each shadow world has a scenario and task, and once the task is completed, they are cleared. The entire world revolves around the purification of the shadow worlds, and the Western Kingdoms and Khavrion Academy play a key role in this. Such knowledge amazes the mentor. She realizes that the guy already knows the basics, which means they can move on to the next step. The hero together with the girl goes to the main building of the Khavrion Academy. Raydoria confirms entry with a student ID card. She is welcomed by the system. It turns out that she is a 4th circle mage. The couple walks forward. Desir looks up at the sky as they step out into the courtyard. Above the building hangs a huge magical figure in the form of fire. The hero looks around, but there is no surprise on his face. Rather, he's already feeling nostalgic. Raydoria notices that the guy isn't particularly impressed. The hero excuses himself by saying that he just saw a similar building before. The girl repeats his words with a laugh, not really believing that he saw a similar building. The two go further down the building's corridors. Then two people get in the way of Raydoria and Desir. The mentor's face contorts. A guy with blue hair and an aristocratic appearance comes out to them. Behind him is a girl with blonde hair. The hero also asks the companion, this is her friend. The girl also admits that this is a freak named Ilheim. Desir remembers that Ilheim is a water mage. He's the exact opposite of Raydoria. Then he realizes that they had a terrible relationship. because they are incompatible with both elements and characters. The hero whispers that the interlocutor does not get along very well with him, and the representative of the beautiful herself, Paula, loudly declares that she hates the smug, arrogant assholes that the person opposite her is. With a nasty smile, Olheim starts the conversation. He notices that the girl took a very long time to get here. He assumes that it's all about growth. Raydoria is not left out. She sarcastically wonders where the water mage came up with such words. This angers the blue-haired guy, who immediately responds by saying that the girl is a pathetic firebender. His mentor reminds him that last month that pathetic firebender kicked his skinny ass. The water mage has no intention of backing down. He claims that he did not lose, but simply succumbed to his opponent. Raydoria also notes that if the guy really showed everything he was capable of, then she would advise him to drop out of school. The atmosphere between the two girls is heating up. Olheim was very displeased with these words, but there was nothing left for him to say, so he changed the subject, shifting his gaze to the hero and asking him if he was her ward. Desir calmly confirms the words of the interlocutor, after which the water mage notes that he has manners unlike Raydoria. He finds out the guy's name, then runs it through the database. Seeing that the hero is a commoner, Olheim breaks into a satisfied smile. He immediately notices this, declaring that their competition is over. Raydoria tries to understand what is happening, which is why she asks her opponent what he means. The guy with the blue hair shows his tablet, noticing that the girl didn't even check the group placement. It turns out that they are in the same group, which means that Raydoria's ward has no chance, according to Olheim. The girl doubts the words of the interlocutor, not rejecting the fact that Desir can win. The aristocrat claims that this is impossible for a commoner, because his ward is a magical swordswoman. A bead of sweat runs down the fire mage's face. She very much doubts that Olheim is telling the truth. Then the guy with the blue hair lets her see for herself. Raydoria asks for the name in her opponent's ward. The girl introduces herself. Her name is Aegis King's Crown. After punching Olheim's word through the database, the hero's mentor is amazed at what she saw. It turns out that Aegis is a magical swordswoman with the element of ice, who has image magic. Raydoria points out that King's Crown is a third circle mage whose swordplay extends beyond the pawn. In conclusion, Olheim himself declares that his ward is a real genius. Raydoria turns her gaze to Desir, mentally realizing that the guy doesn't stand a chance compared to her. This is seen by an aristocrat who notes that the confidence of his opponent has disappeared somewhere. Raydoria bows her head, not sure what to say to that. Olheim laughs as he starts to walk away. Passing by the hero, he decides to give him advice. The aristocrat declares that even if the guy is lucky enough to pass the exam, he will still end up in a meaningless beta class. So he advises Desir to forget about entering. As Raydoria clenches her fists angrily as she steps forward, Desir turns to watch the girl walk away with Olheim. He smiles, then goes to fetch his disgruntled mentor. At the same time, everything is happening at the school. An announcement that the entrance exam will start soon, and all examinees are requested to meet in the exam hall. A smile appears on the hero's face, which greatly stresses Raydoria, who is very unhappy with the last conversation with Olheim. The guy ignores her questions, noticing that it's time for them to go to the gathering place. Chapter 1-4. Examinees gather in the spacious hall. In the center of the room is a cylindrical object on a platform. On its square there are several doors. The hero looks at a huge object with interest. Then a voice from the side asks him to stand still, because now he is disgracing them. Desir breaks down to the girl, addressing her by name. He's surprised that she's still alive. He literally lashes out at her with questions about her condition. At the same time, the hero accidentally puts his arm around her shoulders. Romance, that's the girl's name, doesn't understand what the guy is talking about. Then Desir mentally realizes that he did something stupid. The hero apologizes, pretending that he doesn't know what came over him. The girl notes that this is an impudence for a commoner. She wraps her arms around herself, starting to crawl back. Someone from afar asks if everything is fine with her. The guy mentally notes that he knew this was going to happen, but he couldn't help it. While the girl looks at him as if he's crazy, the hero silently rejoices that the girl is safe and sound. It turns out that in the future, he lost this girl. After that, he was in utter despair. It was unspeakable suffering. Desir finally realizes that the moment has returned when no one has died yet. He realized that he had been given a second chance. After meeting Romantica, the hero becomes sure that he has been reborn, so he will never let her die again. The decision to conduct the exam for Group D was made. It consists in the following. It will be a level 10 Shadow World, or to be more precise, a running competition in the Earnest Plains. The condition for clearing it is to cross the finish line first. The finish line is located 8 kilometers from the start line. The use of magic is allowed. Attacking other participants is allowed. Taking into account the security system, the pain will be suppressed by 80%. If someone surrenders or gets a fatal injury, then they will be eliminated from the Shadow World. Romantica notes that they were lucky because she had heard that Group B was going to run into trolls. Her friend clarifies that since this is a competition, they will have to fight each other. The girl declares that 3 people will compete: she, he, and the magic swordswoman. The guy wishes good luck to his girlfriend. Romance in response also wishes good luck to the guy, calling him by name. His name is Trevuri. The system notifies that the gate will open soon, so it asks participants to line up in front of it. The 4 of them stand in front of the gate, and moments later, the system informs them that they have entered a shadow world called the Running Competition on the Earnest Plains. The system starts counting down to the start of the race, which starts in 3 minutes. The system asks all participants to prepare and stand behind the start line. The foursome is waiting for the entrance exam to start. The hero is standing on the edge next to Aegis. He greets the girl, but she ignores him. In his mind's eye, he hoped Aegis was back, too, because she was the same as always. Desire can't even guess what she's thinking. Then Aegis suddenly reveals that the guy is a weakling. This scares the hero a little at first, but he quickly comes to his senses, recognizing her correctness. The girl continues to push. She notices that Desire is extremely weak, because his magic level is extremely low and his physical abilities are below average. She believes that no matter how hard he tries, the level 6 shadow world is his limit. The hero mentally asks if Aegis wants to fight, but the interlocutor seems to read his thoughts. The magical swordswoman assures him that she is not going to attack him at the request of her mentor. The hero is also interested in the reason for such actions. Aegis confidently states that she has no desire to attack weak people like Desire. After that, a warning sounds from the system, which informs you that there are 10 seconds left before the start of the race, and that all participants should get ready. The foursome gathers their thoughts as they prepare to start. Everyone is serious, and no one is going to give in. The system announces the beginning. Aegis takes off, stepping forward. Trevuri steps on her heels, and Romance and the hero trail behind. The last 2 get dust in their eyes from the first 2. This greatly angers the girl, who immediately notices it. While running, Romance accidentally steps on some Fluffy. She apologizes to him, thinking him very nice. From the lips of the guy, words of surprise break out that the interlocutors still like such things. It really pisses the girl off. She angrily asks what makes Desire think he knows her, and then advises him to focus on the race. The hero only notices that this makes no sense, because at this rate they will both fail the exam. Romance shuts the guy up. Her pride is hurt by the fact that some commoner treats her like their friends. Desire just smiles at that. This behavior of the guy annoys the girl even more. She doesn't understand what's wrong with him, so she asks why he keeps running when he's sure he won't pass the exam. The hero declares that he is just happy. He notes that a long time has passed. These words only raise more questions for Romance, which does not even suspect that the guy loves her. The girl is so infuriated by the behavior of the interlocutor that she decides to use her power, although she admits that she was waiting for the right opportunity. She holds out her hand, inviting the other person to observe her strength, because in her opinion, a commoner like Desire will never be able to reach the second circle and the power that she has. Magic circles appear around the girl's palm, and she uses a gust of wind. Chapter 1-5. A group of human teachers supervises the entrance exams. One of them informs the others that Groups A and C have just finished taking the exam, and only Groups D and F are left. According to the man, so far there has been nothing unusual or unexpected. Everything is going smoothly. The man reminds everyone that this year there are some very outstanding students. 2 people start talking about applicants. One of them recalls that the students last year were not inferior in any way, but this time there is a magic swordswoman. Another picks up the conversation about this unique girl. He believes that she is a prime example of a true aristocrat, after which he clarifies whether she is in Group D. This person then notes that there is also a commoner in the same group. His friend laughs at this, noticing that this boy is unlucky to be in this group. At this time, Trevuri runs on a par with Aegis. The guy reflects that the victory is too easy for him, because in a cross-country competition with a magician, he, as a swordsman, can undoubtedly win, but his opponent is a magical swordswoman. He thinks it's very striking. Trevuri looks back, wondering where the other 2 contestants have gone. Then he notices that the wind is beginning to pick up. The guy is thrown into the air. Trevuri mentally notes that a decent amount of magic power was put into this attack. He begins to assume that this is the work of Romance. He sticks his sword into the ground, slowing his movement. Inwardly, he realizes that the girl's plan is to blow them away with the wind. But this will not work on him because thanks to the armor, his weight is 100 kilograms, which allows him to stand on his feet from such a wind if he holds on tightly to the sword stuck in the ground. Trevuri chuckles inwardly, thinking that's all Romance can do. He looks back and sees Aegis still running forward without stopping. The magical swordswoman is about to draw her sword from its scabbard. Aegis draws his sword. At the surprised look of the guy, she uses a few strokes to create a corridor for herself through a gust of wind. Trevuri is very impressed with what a magical swordswoman does, but her class speaks for her. Nothing less could have been expected. Same guy. He stays firmly in place, mentally noting that this will only exhaust the girl more. He thinks it's best to wait until the wind subsides. But his tactics fail when the nearest trees begin to move, gradually lifting off the ground. Trevuri realizes that Romance had planned all of this from the start. A guy swears at a girl. Aegis notices that the wind has stopped, and the system notifies that Trevuri Ticus has been eliminated from the Shadow World. There are only 3 participants left. Romance and Desire continue to run toe-to-toe. The girl is a little dissatisfied that the magic swordswoman didn't fly out. She stops abruptly, blocking the hero's path. Romantica declares that since she is kind, she will give him a chance to give up. She asks if the guy wants to experience all the pain for himself. Desire politely refuses the offer to give up. And the girl is already beginning to say that he did quite smart, but the meaning of the interlocutor's words quickly reaches her. She thinks the guy is a fool because he saw the power of her magic, which is why he should understand that he is not a match for her. The hero smiles at this, which causes a storm of indignation in the girl. Several dozen magic circles appear before Romance. She warns him that she won't hold him back, so he'd better be patient. She uses an airstrike spell. A bolt of lightning strikes Desire's arm as several columns of air rush towards him. A powerful explosion occurs. The girl mentally notes that this is a second circle spell, which was hit at close range. It was something that even a mage of the same circle as her couldn't dodge or block. She admits that she had fun, but it's time to say goodbye. The voice from the back makes Romantica turn around in surprise. The hero also explains the girl released a direct attack after sealing. He admits that he is impressed with the other person's skills because she showed a good level of magic for a second circle magician.